Hey guys, it's Mike and Jamie from Nova 3 Nutrition. So Becky asked us a question about increasing calories in clients that have a deficit or that are under eating, or in yourself for that matter. We're going to talk a little bit about that today and how we do that. So one of the first things we do is we'll figure out the caloric intake needed for a client. And I do this based on a couple different formulas. One is the Harris-Benedict formula. The other one is just, it's sort of a target body weight, intensity training factor, number of times per week training. Comes up with just a couple targets. With that, we also need to see what the client is eating. So that's why we always get people to log 5 to 7 days worth of food. Based on those numbers, then we figure out potentially what a client needs. So let's say, as an example, we have somebody who theoretically needs 2,400 calories, but they're only eating 1,800 calories. And we know they're in a deficit. Let's say they're underperforming at the gym, they're not putting on muscle mass, they have low energy, or their weight loss is stalled out, which can happen too. And I know that goes against the law of thermodynamics, but if you've coached enough, you've seen it enough. We need to increase that, and we'll do that in a slow and controlled manner.
Okay, so there are a few reasons why we would do it slowly. One of them is that if the person is in a huge deficit, it's going to be difficult to give them a whole bunch of food to eat all at once. So some of you might know, if you've ever had your protein increased, that it can be difficult to eat a whole bunch more protein right away. One of the other reasons too is that it can cause a huge change in body composition to do it really quickly, and most people don't especially like that. So what else?
Well, to get on the athlete response there, so anytime we do a reverse, it's not always going to be positive. And a lot of people think that, and a lot of people see, oh, I increased my carbs and I leaned out, and you see it on Instagram all the time. It's like carbs, 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 increase your carbs, don't undereat. And that can be true in some people. How an athlete is going to respond to a reverse or to go from under eating to eating a proper amount of calories is very individually dependent. Some people will put on body weight and they'll have an increase in body weight and they'll have an increase in their body fat percentage. Some athletes will drop body weight and they'll drop body fat percentage and they'll have really positive response, and that's not typical. Anytime somebody goes from under eating, overtraining, it's hard to say how they're going to react. And
one of the things too is that even though we've determined with a bunch of calculations about what someone should be at, doing it slowly and increasing things slowly, you can find along that road that number that we have calculated isn't necessarily the best number for that person in order for them to feel good. So maybe along the way, you find a place where that's their sweet spot and they're like, nope, you know what, my sleep has improved. I feel better. My performance is really great at the gym. I just want to stay here. Or you might find that you actually even need to go higher than that number that we have found, in the magic calculation, that just is kind of is a blanket number for everyone. So
that goes back to one, individual variance. Everybody is a unique snowflake. I say that all the time, right? And it sometimes takes a little bit of time as a coach to figure out what that total calories per day is needed for that athlete, and whether or not they're going to gain weight or lose weight on that, right? It's that individual variance. I've had athletes who have been at, 6'4", 225-pound guys who have been at like 2,100 calories. I've had 5'1", 124-pound females who have been at like 3,200 calories. Everybody's really different in what they require. So part of that is reactive coaching, and that's really what we do, right? Based on a client's feedback, we will change things based on what they say. It's like we will implement something. So here's your macros. Week later, or 5 days later, 11 days later, client gives us some feedback. Oh, this is how I feel. This is where my body weight's at. This is where my performance is at.
Or I'm struggling with,
Yeah.
you know, like this amount of food right now is just not working. I think we're going to have to back it up and increase it even more slowly, because I just, you know, I feel like I'm force feeding myself, or, you know, it's making me feel stressed by having to do, you know, to do this. Like, can we come up with something different for right now, just to, you know, to go more slowly?
Yeah, I mean, I know we're getting a little bit off on a tangent here, but it all does circle back to how do we increase calories in a client that's under eating? And
So you mean it just all comes back to it depends?
it depends. It always depends. Yes, it always depends on a lot of different things. And really, the number one thing it depends on is how that athlete or how that client is going to react. And you know, to give an example, to make it a little bit clearer. So let's say, so Becky, who asked this question, let's say she has a client and she's only eating 1,700 calories, and she's calculated that she needs 2,400 calories. That's a big chunk of change to go from 1,700 to 24. So we wouldn't do that right away, or we wouldn't normally do that right away, because one, psychologically, that can be really hard, especially if that client's been under eating for a long period of time. Physically, it can be really hard, even if that's the appropriate amount of total calories they need. To have him or her eat that much, physically they might not be able to. There might have been downregulation in their digestion. From a satiety point of view, they're going to be full on less food than they normally would. So it's going to take time to step that up. How do we do that? I would say something like that, just off the top of my head. If somebody's at 1,700 calories, and they need to be 24, I might put them at 1,900.
Yeah.
You know, and there's nothing saying that you can't change as a coach, or if you're doing this yourself, you can't change that as you go. Macros are never set in stone. If it's like you've bumped up to 1,900 and all of a sudden your client's like, whoa, this is way too much, I'm having a tough time with this, you might have to back down to maybe only doing 100 calories increase that week, right? Or you might have really good shit happen and all of a sudden they're like, wow, my hunger's increased. Wow, I feel great in the gym, and
Give me more.
give me more. And then it's like, that's a great thing as a coach, because it makes it easy. It's like, here's more food, right?
Well, because how many people have you had where you said, you know, you need to eat 50 more grams protein, and they're like, what? 50 grams, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's been that, you know, you've had to increase it 10 grams of protein per week, because they just can't wrap their head around eating more protein, because obviously it makes you feel more full too.
That's right. So,
Or one of the first reactions too is once you start giving people more food is they're like, oh God, I'm so bloated. But it's just your stomach now has food in it. And it's not actually that you're bloated, it's just that you're full.
that's right. So it can take time to get used to that. So slowly we increase calories. It depends on the client reaction, and it's really determined by reactive coaching. So how your client gives you feedback is how you're going to react and increase their calories. Good question, Becky. Thank you guys for